Hi everyone. I hope you are doing well and you are coping well with the new circumstances and you managed to find ways of online learning. And I hope all my colleagues and me too, I try to do my best in order to facilitate the process of learning. Um, so basically what you see, and just as a general intro into the world of tools that we apply for now on, I will upload on the Moodle page of the course every week readings as you saw for this week as well, and slides. And I decided to prepare these little videos in order to guide you through all those documents and to explain certain parts of the slides, the PPT that might not be clear from the bullet pointed information that I indicated on certain slides, and also to let you know about what I expect you to read, what parts of the readings. Now, I'm truly sorry that we won't meet up anymore on Thursdays. I truly like those meetings. I guess you felt that. I enjoyed all the discussions with you. So I'm very sorry that we can't go on in person. At least you see me. I opted for videos instead of Teams meetings because I thought, like, your circumstances might differ to a large extent. I don't know exactly who is available at the time of the course, but it might easily be that now the new difficulties that we are collectively facing, it might hinder some of you from attending the class at the time of the meetings themselves. So I opted for these recorded videos. In this way, you can decide when and how to watch them, like all of them together, or some of them on the day of the course, others in the weekend, because basically I'm going to prepare very brief pieces, so like up to 15 minutes, not more. On the one hand, I think that this is the time limit while you can still attentively listen to such a video, which is kind of statical in the sense that there is no interaction. And also because it might be like very handy to have videos focused on different topics, different problems that I want you to put emphasis on while you are learning, and where there is a need for oral explanation. And so I thought that it's nice that there will be separate videos focused on those different topics, and then it's easier to digest and it's easier to open up and use them. Now, coming back to the reading, so whatever I upload as readings, they might be long documents. Like right now for this week, you got like more than 60 pages. It does not mean that I expect you to read all those 60 pages. I provide you these documents in order to have kind of reading background, and whoever prefers or is interested in the reading can read the whole stuff. But basically, from time to time, I mean, always in the videos, I will come back to this. If in a reading that I uploaded, I actually expect you to read certain chapters that I can actually ask you to give back the information back that you found there in the tests or the exam itself, which will be at the end of the semester. So focusing on the reading for this week, and to be more specific, one thing is, as an introductory remark, that all throughout the semester and the course, we will just deal with individual applications and cases appearing at the European Court of Human Rights. So we are not dealing with interstate complaints. And so here as well, where you have the admissibility criteria applicable to the application submitted to the court, don't deal with interstate cases, but focuses on individual cases. And within individual cases, please read point or chapter 3, which is titled Exhaustion of Domestic Remedies. That's a very important part, and that helps you understand the slides. So once again, chapter 3, Exhaustion of Domestic Remedies. And the other one that I want you to read are actually 2 subchapters within chapter 6, which is about incompatibility and the competence of the court. And within that, there are 2 points. 1, IA, respondent state. That's the title of the subchapter, respondent state. So focus on that. And on the other hand, what is the following subchapter, the victim status. So exhaustion of domestic remedies, respondent state, and victim status. Those are the subchapters that I expect you to read from your reading that you find on the Moodle. Now, last operative comment or remark, that as you see on the outline of the course or the online teaching uploaded on the Moodle, I will keep the oral exam so that we have a last chance to exchange in person and interactively. You have the last chance to ask your questions in person. So I thought that we would have Skype calls and individually. So on the last week, we will schedule individual appointments for those Skype calls. Don't worry, I will be flexible. So we will find the perfect time for everyone. Everyone will have the chance to have the oral exam. And so just a couple of introductory information now already substantively speaking, and please ask me if you have any specific questions later on. Come back to me with individual problematic issues via email. Other than that, general questions and comments, and feel free to share them. You can share them and do so please on the Moodle page in the forum of the course. So not individually via email if I can request that. But I'm available on the forum as well. I check it regularly. So you will I will be available for you there too. So now just a couple of words substantively about the first 10 slides that you see. I mean, those are introductory slides. You will see all the very basic information about Council of Europe and the establishment of it, composition of it. I won't repeat them. You will see on the slides. One thing I wanted to point out is that when you look at the structure of the Council of Europe, and you will see on a slide certain specific bodies listed. Keep in mind that not only the European Court of Human Rights is responsible for the protection of human rights within the Council of Europe, but there are other institutions, other bodies, other organs of the Council of Europe as an international organization that are mandated with certain functions related to the protection of human rights. It's just obvious in the case of the Commissioner for Human Rights, but also you see in the list the Venice Commission, for example. That's an advisory body composed of experts, European experts of constitutional law. And so they are mandated with providing advice to individual member states on constitutional legal issues. Or you see the Committee of Ministers, which is the most important executive body of the Council of Europe. Now, that is also a very important body when it comes to the execution of judgments of the European Court of Human Rights, and I will talk about that later in more details. Now, you will see 2 slides that are about the rights, selected rights that are protected by and enshrined in the European Convention on Human Rights, or the protocols attached to the European Convention on Human Rights. And so you will have examples for those rights, but please open up on the internet the European Convention itself and the protocols. It's one brief, rather brief PDF document, easily available, and you can easily find it on the internet just by simple Googling. Please Google it, open it up, read it, just take a first look on the text of the European Convention and the protocols attached to it. Now, just in a bracket, as you will see on another slide, and keep that in mind, that the European Convention and its protocols are not the only documents that include provisions of human rights protection and that were adopted under the auspices of the Council of Europe. So, for example, we have the European Social Charter, or we have the Convention for the Prevention of Torture, adopted in the framework of the Council of Europe, but you will see other examples on a certain dedicated slide. Now, the last thing I wanted to share in this first video is the information that you see on slide 10. Basically, there are just indicated 4 notions connected to state responsibility, because when we are talking about the procedure at the European Court of Human Rights, we are always discussing state responsibility, so that the states can be sued or applied against at the European Court of Human Rights, not individual non-state actors. Of course, those respondent states who are member states of the Council of Europe. But related to their responsibility, I just wanted to point out that you find 2 different kinds of obligations, negative and positive obligations. So, for example, if you have Article 10, freedom of expression, and you think about that the state is not, and state authorities are not allowed to fine media organs without acceptable and justifiable reasons, that's a negative obligation. So state authorities should refrain from doing something that is not in compliance with the European Convention. But if you take Article 13, for example, the right to efficient remedies, legal remedies, if your human rights were violated, in most of the cases, then we are talking about judicial proceedings. Obviously, there we have a positive obligation of the state to ensure the logistical, the normative preconditions of the enforcement of Article 13, so to provide efficient legal remedy at the domestic level to victims of human rights violations. So now you probably understand what I meant by negative versus positive obligations when it comes to state responsibility. Now, the other couple of notions are substantive and procedural limb of or aspect of the violation of a certain article in the European Convention. What does that mean? Let me take as an example Article 3, prohibition of torture and inhuman degrading treatment. So if we consider the substantive aspect of the violation of Article 3, then we think about, for example, a police officer causing physical injury to an individual without any legitimate aim and without meeting the necessity and proportionality tests. So police officers without good reasons shouldn't beat up the citizens, to put it very simply. That's a substantive aspect of Article 3. The procedural limb is that if a private individual is doing the same, when a private individual commits physical assault against another private individuals, against another citizens, then obviously that doesn't result in state responsibility automatically. It results in state responsibility if state authorities knew about that, the police was informed about that, and they do nothing. So they don't investigate thoroughly and efficiently the circumstances of the case, and they don't prosecute the perpetrator. So that's a procedural obligation on the state. That's a procedural aspect of Article 3. So that's the difference between the substantive and the procedural limb of an article of the European Convention. And we will come back to this distinction later on in more specific cases. So this is for the beginning, and I'm coming up with more videos. Thank you for watching.